At IBM, problems inspire us to push the world forward. That's why so many people work with us on everything from city traffic to ocean plastic. Smart loves problems. IBM, let's put smart to work. Visit IBM.com/smart to learn more.
Quote, get your damn act together yourself, okay? Settle down just a little bit. I don't like your attitude to come in. I've been traveling all night and don't have the patience to jack with you today. Who said that, Jerry Jones or me?
I feel
it was
Jerry
me.
Jones. I also feel you.
Me.
My throat's going, man. I've been up early.
I ain't worried about you. I'm just giving you this warning again.
So you're saying I should not jack with you today?
Bingo.
Noted.
So, how about them Cowboys? Cowboys reminded us the only thing worse than an embarrassing showing on national television is putting up such a performance 3 weeks in a row. Dallas lost 31-24 to the Bears Thursday night. The particulars barely matter at this point as there are so many questions about coaching and management that few even have time to find players to blame. For now, let's watch Jerry Jones do his best to hold it together again.
Chicago took it to us. We won't be going anywhere until we can win a football game. That score didn't indicate how bad they beat us tonight. We're going to go practice, and we're going to try to win a football game. And everybody that's in here that's healthy, and everybody that's healthy that's coaching will be coaching, and everybody that's in here that will be playing, and we just got to play better.
Pablo, the Cowboys are still playing for a playoff berth, but is there any good reason Jason Garrett is still the Cowboys head coach?
Because it's hard to have a human shield if the guy is not employed. This seems to be the scam that I am convinced increasingly that Jerry Jones is running. Jerry Jones, the guy that we just watched, is responsible for not only hiring Jason Garrett, he's responsible for hiring every coach that everybody got mad at last night and all of the players. But every day, it seems like, we ask whether Jason Garrett will be fired because of how terrible he is. Jerry Jones is the guy with whom this buck ultimately has to stop.
Right, but the idea, though, that the whole issue is keep Jason Garrett around just because he's the human shield. You think Jerry doesn't want to win? Right? Like the flaw in that argument is the idea that I'm going to keep this guy out here that I know is not doing the job just because nobody asked me about it. And I don't think that's what's going on here. What I think they got going here is if you fire him, who's the interim coach? Troy Aikman made that point in the broadcast there. One thing the Cowboys didn't do this year that's interesting, given that they had a coach in a lame duck year and who's been in a shaky ground, is there's not one guy on that staff that you could point to and say, well, if something changed, he would be the interim. The closest to that would be Rod Marinelli, a defensive coordinator who doesn't call plays, which is a good transitional position to go in, except the last time Rod Marinelli was a head coach, his team went 0-16. Now, some of this is on players, some of this is on coaches, some of it is on management, but the thing I have to say in defense of Jerry is they got a talented squad, right? He is the general manager, and the coach has players. It should be better, and I do think the problem is Jason Garrett more than anybody else.
I believe wholeheartedly that Jerry wants to win, but I also think that Jerry is strategic. He is a wise man. He is savvy. He is cunning. And what you just described, the problem of what happens when you get rid of Jason Garrett, well, they don't have anybody to step in. That does seem like that also redounds to the fault of Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I would agree that it's the fault of it. My question for you, though, is that the deep-rooted cynicism that you have about these things, that it's just all about the human shield. I think that Jerry would gladly fire Jason Garrett and take the blame if he knew that would make this a team that could go to the playoffs and win some games. I don't think that change is going to do that.
But let us turn now to Mitchell Trubisky, who suddenly has Bears fans wondering if they should suddenly love him again. After spending the better part of 10 weeks looking broken, Trubisky thoroughly outplayed Dak Prescott last night, his second very good to great game in a row, and the 3 passing touchdowns were shocking enough, but his season-high 10 runs, 60 yards, and game-sealing touchdown on the ground, that all kind of felt revelatory. So, Bo, can you find yourself trusting this version of Mitchell Trubisky?
Yeah, you trust that version, but do you trust that version to show up? Right? Like the question has steps. And is that guy to be trusted to show up? Of course not. We got all kinds of data to indicate that we should not trust him as such. The thing with Trubisky is this. You make the throws easy for him. He'll make the easy throws. Man, Florida James with the numbers here. If the pass is under 10 air yards, 75% completion, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, on target 90% of the time. You go over 10 yards, 44% completion, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 31% off target. off target is 31%. Hell no, I don't trust that dude.
I don't trust him yet either, but I ask Matt Nagy, why have we not seen him run the ball more? Last year, we've been asking this question on this show for months now. Last year, we saw him run. He was mobile. He was athletic. He was that guy. Only last night did we see him reemerge again, and now I wonder, right? Maybe this is simply because they played a team in the Cowboys that is actually just bad. Maybe that's the reason. Okay, so maybe these numbers are trumped up. But what if it's real? What if it's real, and is this now just an indictment of the head guy who maybe will have this job forever?
Well, to be fair to Matt Nagy on this one, I have a theory for you as to how it is that you can have this guy who can't run, and he does not run, and we have used this with another quarterback in this league, Jaheim Allen. I've said this for a long time, that if Josh Allen's name was Jaheim Allen, they'd have had him running all over the place the whole time, because that's the whole reason why you get Jaheim in the first place. Malik Trubisky, perhaps he would have been out here going about this in a different way, and they would have discovered this sooner, because the truth is, you got to get him rolling for him to get anything else going. Like if Trubisky starts slow, then it's never going to get going. But if you get him feeling good, it seems that he's better. So go ahead and give Malik the ball. Let him give him a little some of that, and you never know.
Malik was hitting 15 miles an hour last night on the radar gun, which we now use to clock NFL players. This seems to be a promising strategy. It also seems to be something they should have tried many weeks before this one.
The thing is, they tried it years before. That's why it's so bizarre they didn't now, right? And now to the most intriguing game on Sunday's slate, Chiefs-Patriots. Patrick Mahomes returns to Foxborough after last season's wild Week 6 matchup between the teams and also the Chiefs' heartbreaking home loss to the Pats in the AFC Championship game. The sizzle is in the prospect of the Chiefs' offense facing the New England defense, but there's also the Chiefs' fairly middling defense facing a struggling Tom Brady. Pablo, last week the Texans dared Brady to beat them, and he did not. Should the Chiefs do the same?
The Chiefs should absolutely follow this game plan until it's shown that it does not work. This reminds me like in a fight in boxing, a guy is bleeding. You just hit that spot over and over and over again, and you see what happens. And Tom Brady is right now the wound on the Patriots' run to the Super Bowl. As much as I do believe they will make that run, he's obviously the guy that's going to try to exploit.
You're still holding on to this just because they're the Patriots. No matter what the Patriots do, I could put any 53 dudes off the street in those uniforms, and you just go put them in the Super Bowl.
Until they prove me wrong and different.
Like they. That's an amazing thing to say about a Super Bowl.
How many years in a row?
So here's the thing I wonder though about the Chiefs. Do they have it in them to make Tom Brady beat them? Because the way that you're going to make Tom Brady beat you is if you can effectively stop the run from the Patriots. The Chiefs have not really demonstrated themselves to be capable of effectively stopping anybody on the ground. That's just not what they do. Now, what we've seen from the Patriots in years past is somehow they turn into a new team every week. Based on what the other team is, Bill Belichick will turn them into something else. Mm-hmm. Can he turn this team into one that's going to run the ball 30, 35 times and then hammer the Chiefs in that way? Because outside of this game being in Foxborough, that seems to be the path to victory. I'm just not sure if they can do it.
But it does seem like this is what the Chiefs are already incentivized to try on defense because, as you point out, they have a top 10 pass defense. They can handle, theoretically, Tom Brady just left to their own devices. It is the run defense, bottom of the barrel, that they need to worry about, man. And I wonder, right, Pat Mahomes on the other side of this. He faces the Patriots secondary, one of the greatest we have ever seen. Do you see Pat Mahomes and Tyreek Hill running up the score on Stephon Gilmore?
Well, no, running up the score, no. I do ask this, though. Who do the Patriots have fast enough to do something with Tyreek Hill? Like, this will be an interesting test for Gilmore because you be as skilled as you want with Hill. You better be fast. All right, coming up next, 49ers Saints and NFC Championship preview.
High Noon is brought to you by Domino's. Order online and track your order.
Bold statement. Saving money with Geico is almost better than watching football. Think about it. When you're watching the game, yelling at the quarterback to throw the ball, throw it, Williams is wide open, why are you doing this to me? Use that rocket arm, come on! They don't listen to you. But if you went into a Geico office and yelled, someone please help me save some money on car insurance, everyone would hop to it. Except the intern because it's his first day and he doesn't even have a computer yet. See? Better. Switch and save with Geico. It's almost better than sports.
High Noon is coming to you from the Seaport District at Pier 17. Brought to you by Chase.
Get in here. Everybody get in here. Get in here. Let's play my song. First top. Michael Thomas. No receiver has ever won the NFL MVP, but Thomas is making a case this year. He already has 110 catches for 1,290 receiving yards. The Saints host the Niners on Sunday, so you in on Thomas strengthening his MVP case this weekend.
I am out on this, Bo, and it's not because he's not a great receiver. He's as reliable as any receiver we've really seen ever. The problem is that he faces the Niners defense, the best short of the Patriots in the league, and no receiver has gotten a vote in the MVP race since Randy Moss's rookie year in 98. A vote.
The problem with this is this dude ain't no MVP level of wide receiver. He is very good, and true to his Twitter name, it appears that people can't guard Mike. However, part of his success in terms of the volume of the catches has to do with the fact that he's played his ball this year with two guys who really ain't about throwing the ball down the field like that. Drew Brees can't do it like he used to. Teddy Bridgewater, that was never the strength of his game. He is a perfect fit for those guys they have in the Saints offense, but I'm not talking about a receiver as MVP with 6 touchdown catches.
Next topic, Dolphins-Jets. Miami has won 3 of their past 5 games with a matchup here in New York against the Jets set for Sunday. So you win on the Dolphins, continuing this hot streak and beating the Jets.
So basically what we got here is a game between two teams that I would never pick to win a game. And you're going to ask me to pick one of them. This is the somebody's got to lose bowl. Who knows? Maybe it's a 0-0 tie in the end. They're capable of such things. I'm going to go with the Jets because I think they're the whole team, right? Wow, Brandon, so excited about beating the Dolphins.
This is why you can't pick the Jets, because the Jets fans need this so badly that you know they're not going to get it. And meanwhile, I'll be the guy starting Ryan Fitzpatrick in my fantasy lineup as the playoffs begin this week, because I think he's going to go 4-4 since he became the starter in Miami. That is the magic of him.
Why do you think that? Please understand that you believe in the magic of the Patriots and the magic of Ryan Fitzpatrick in the same way.
Because to quote you, it's the Jets.
It's Ryan Fitzpatrick, who used to play for the Jets. Up next, Gardner Minshew. Minshew is the Jaguars starter again for the rest of the season after Nick Foles was benched last week. You win on the matchup with the Chargers this weekend, being an audition for Minshew to be the starter for the Jaguars in 2020.
This is what this is. This is an audition. It's kind of one of those auditions where the director has tipped to you, though, that he is your favorite, because we saw what happened last week. Nick Foles struggled, but Nick Foles got a quick hook, relatively speaking. He didn't get to see nearly as much as I thought he would. I think they appreciate Minshew, and Minshew and all that wiggle that he has, they should be appreciating it.
You are so into his level of wiggle. It's the most patronizing thing in the world. You know why you're doing that, and it's not because he's wiggling. Now, as for this idea of an audition, though, the starter next year is not going to be Nick Foles. That part I feel very confident saying right now. If it was going to be Nick Foles, he'd still be starting right now in spite of the fact that he was struggling. It ain't going to be him. Who else is it going to be if it's not this guy?
Up next, Sunday Night Football. The Rams host Russell Wilson and the Seahawks on Sunday night, so you win on LA, beating Seattle behind a healthy dose of a maybe healthy Todd Gurley.
I don't know how I'm supposed to know how much they're going to give the ball to Todd Gurley, right? Maybe the last game was an inflection point and they've decided now they're going to just pump the ball to him over and over again. At the very least, maybe give it to him 20 times. But I don't feel like anybody can have any idea what Sean McVay is going to do, because none of us really know why he's done things the way he has.
I am in on this game being close. I am in on this because I believe Todd Gurley will be the focal point of their sort of newly rediscovered power run game. I think that's safe to say based on how Sean McVay has basically punished himself in the press recently. But I also say that simply because the Seahawks basically only play close games. 10 of their 12 have been close. They've won 9-1. So I also pick Seattle.
All right. Now, Tua Tagovailoa. Tua had this to say about his surgically repaired hip. Quote, "I don't think I'd be the same because there's metal in here, you know?" You still in on Tua as a first rounder after his comments about his hip?
I am in on him as a first rounder, presuming that the hip really isn't affected by his description of said hip, if that makes sense. This seems to be an error of PR. I don't know who he's listening to agent-wise or otherwise. I guess he hasn't hired one yet officially. But I would not be saying this. But I'm still taking him in the first round if he can walk.
Yeah, but him saying it, what's that actually changing? He's not a doctor. If he came out there and said, "I'm going to be 120% if I was before," it's not like all of a sudden you're going to shoot him up to the top of the draft board. They'll do all the poking around and figuring out what's going on with his hip. I don't have any idea how reasonable it is that he'll come back on a full recovery. I don't have the answer to that. The doctors are going to figure that out. What he says ain't going to change it.
Next, Carmelo Anthony. Melo signed a non-guaranteed deal with the Blazers last month, but after averaging 16.9 points and 5.9 rebounds over 8 starts now, Portland announced that it will guarantee Melo's contract for the rest of the season. So you win on this being a smart move by the Blazers.
Well, I don't think it's a bad move, and good for Melo, because I did not think that this contract was ever going to become guaranteed, and now it is, right? Like, I hope he gets a measure of vindication from the fact that he has been reasonably successful in his return. But the big thing is he's making something like $2.5 million. What production is Portland going to get for $2.5 million? That's more than what they're getting from him.
I know Melo does not care. He did not want my glazed donut face bleep to root for him